They are now being joined in the arena by the tank which I think is the star of our show, and that is our big Tiger One, turret number 131, which I think more people come to see in this museum than just about anything else we've got. This particular tank was captured by British forces following an action in Tunisia in 1943. It was fighting against Churchill tanks of the 48th Royal Tank Regiment. It had a couple of glancing blows which didn't exactly disable it, it was still in working order, but which at least seemed to have panicked the crew into abandoning it. Has a crew of 5 normally, and they all got out and legged it, leaving us with a complete Tiger tank. The tank was then taken to Tunis, where His Majesty King George VI inspected it, and where Prime Minister Winston Churchill inspected it. Then came back to England, and like Schnook at the end of the First World War, it spent a little while on Horse Guards Parade for our people to admire. It was then taken to Chertsey in Surrey, where they took it to bits to try and find out how it was made, and then finally came in here. It's been followed around the arena, by the way, by 2 German half-tracks, armoured half-tracks, the little 250 recce vehicle and the big 251 armoured personnel carrier, also both the property of the SDKFZ Foundation. Their vehicles worth looking at. They'll be around again in a minute. So let's get back to the Tiger. One thing you'll see as it comes towards you is the enormous width of those tracks. The thing weighed 56 tons, and in 1942-43, when they first appeared, that was a tremendous weight. It's powered by a Maybach V12 petrol engine, and if anybody tells you German tanks of the Second World War were powered by diesel engines, you may happily say rubbish or any other suitable word that comes to mind. They almost all had petrol engines. I think we've got 1 armoured car in the museum with a Tatra diesel in it, all the rest are petrol. There's the Tiger displaying its rotating turret. Well, they're both mechanically operated turrets, and in both cases there's what you call a turret floor, so that the crew are carried round, you don't have to scurry round after it. Both tanks rely on conventional telescopic sights in order to acquire their target. They have no range finders or anything like that, not in one place. This and about half a battalion's worth of others were in Tunisia. Some fought in Sicily, then in Italy. There were others operating in northwest Europe and on the Russian front. So even with 1,300 spread thin, there wouldn't ever be that many Tigers in any one place. Side of the tank, plus all the extra tin work, and only then, having put on narrower tracks, was the thing slim enough to climb onto a train, and that was a real hard labour. The Tiger, because of its greater weight, has overlapping and interleaving roadways. There's still Torshula, but there's far more of them, and the theory behind that, of course, is that in order to alleviate the ground pressure, which is the curse of these heavy tanks, as much rubber as possible bearing on the tracks makes all the difference. The Tiger was armed with a high velocity and very accurate 88mm gun. It had a coaxial machine gun, and we had a look at coaxial things this morning, plus a hull-mounted machine gun. And to the right of the driver, you see a band of spare tracks there across the front. They were also equipped, because they were mainly aimed at probably invading Russia, they were fitted with a snorkel device because they were a bit too heavy to go over bridges, so they went underwater and breathed through a breather tube, but we're not doing that anymore. We'll just do the tank a lot of good. Airborne forces, but the parachute regiments of the German army didn't see much airborne action after the disaster they suffered at Crete, so most of these things were used on the ground. That particular one was captured in North Africa. Powered by an NSU car engine, and they really are a delightful little thing to play with, and if you ever wanted to get into owning a track vehicle, it's something about that size which is the handy thing to have, and they're great fun just to muck about with. You can't go really fast or really far in them, but just for sort of caddying about at events like this takes a lot of beating to whiz around in your little Kettenkrad.